Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to Congregation Beth Ahaba's weekly Torah videos. I'm Rabbi Scott Nagel, and today's Torah portion is another double portion, Matot Maaseh, and it's my favorite double portion. Here, Moses explains to the Israelites the laws concerning vows, extra promises made by both men and women. And there's some really interesting stuff that follows in this parsha, things that really are going to affect Jews and Judaism for a long time, and they're actually quite progressive. First of all, some of the tribes of Israel, specifically Reuben and Gad, are granted permission to stay on the east side of the Jordan River, which means outside the land of Israel. So even before establishing the land of Israel as a Jewish state given by God, there were some Jews who chose to and were granted permission to live outside of the land, Reuben and Gad. And so this idea of Jews living in Israel and outside of Israel, in Israel and the diaspora, is an idea that's been around from the very beginning. The other really interesting thing is that the boundaries of the land of Israel are defined along with the cities and places where the Levites are going to live, that is, representation of the Jewish community, the Jewish religion in every part of town, and cities of refuge are set up in Israel as well, so that if you were to get in trouble by accident, you could go to this particular place and live out the rest of your days in peace, hopefully without worry of anything bad happening to you. Now that again is, of course, if something had happened by accident. And right after that, we have to understand, what is the accident? What does that mean? So God makes a precise distinction between the idea of murder, that is killing someone with intent, and manslaughter, accidental death resulting in unintentional accidents or consequences. And prior to this moment, there really was no distinction made between those things. Killing was killing, and the punishment for killing was, in some cases, death. Here, if you committed murder, right, with the intent to kill someone, no question you should be punished. But there's a recognition, a really advanced, interesting recognition, that sometimes what we do as human beings, mistakes that we make, might even lead to such terrible consequences as the death of another human being. But intention in Judaism matters. And this is the birth of manslaughter. And the distinction remains today in our modern law code, the distinction between murder and manslaughter. And at that time, that's where these sanctuary cities were set up, for people who had inadvertently or actions inadvertently led up to the death or something else bad for someone, but specifically death, could go and live out the rest of their days without fear of retribution or death because of their intention. And that was a really big forward-thinking concept. And while we're talking about forward-thinking concepts, the laws of inheritance, as they apply to Israelite women, are given to the people. Another huge advancement. Prior to this, even in the Torah, the only people who could inherit property and holdings were sons, were men. But here we make a change, a very progressive change, that women who have no brothers, right, are able to, in fact, inherit their father's land, holdings, and fortune. And Judaism is, before we go into the land of Israel and setting up this country of Israel, which is going to be Or LaGoyim, a light into the nations, being very progressive and thoughtful in understanding the human experience and saying that these things need to be changed in our culture and time. This was a long time ago, before we could all live in peace. So I hope that's interesting to you, and read more about it. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Happy Wednesday again.